This has been the most exhilarating experience of my life. What I have seen has just staggered me, to tell you the truth. I could not believe that anyone would go to all this trouble about my work. I'm very humbled by it, frankly. They're doing virtually everything I wrote, from the very first piece to the very latest piece I composed. It's almost a kind of biographical sketch in music.
When I realized that the Clarice Smith Performing Arts Center was going to be celebrating its 10th anniversary, and Leon Major was going to be ending his tenure here at the University of Maryland, it occurred to me that it would be a time for us to celebrate the center and Leon, and then I realized that Argento would be 85 this year. What a perfect way to celebrate everything. And we're celebrating the wonderful music of Dominick Argento.
Miss Havisham's Fire, which is based on the Dickens, is a curious piece. Argento takes the perspective from Miss Havisham. It's her perspective. Every one of the major characters, Pip, Miss Havisham, Estella, all change. They grow, they learn, they have self-discovery. You can't go to a Havisham rehearsal and not be moved by the pain that these people have and have caused. And immediately you reflect on your own life. What pain have you caused? Who has caused you pain? You have to look in a mirror and say, have I behaved like that? Or have I behaved as well as that? Or as badly as that? And you self-reflect. And that's what I think Argento does in all his operas. He's reflecting upon his own life and translates that into the characters.
I'd like to think that my pieces remind the individual who's watching of their own humanity. I want an emotional reaction, anywhere from just joy to despair, but something that reminds them that they're human, that we are people, and that's what we are made of.
The thing that sticks out to me about Dominick and his music is that he has soul in it. There's always soul, there's always humanity alive in his music, and I'm so thrilled to be able to help in making this happen on stage.
Postcard is another really interesting piece because it's about self-awareness, self-delusion, and self-discovery.
In Postcard from Morocco, there's clearly a strong theme of self-discovery. And I would say each of the characters is on a kind of journey. And that the journey is a key thing in the piece. Everyone's waiting to get on a train. That's the kind of dramatic scenario at the beginning of the piece. But they all end up taking a kind of journey of self-discovery over the course of the opera. But they don't all end up in the same place as where they started. It's a wonderful piece because everybody discovers something unexpected, I think, about themselves.
It's a marvelous conceit that Argento has chosen to set an opera in the most boring circumstance known to humankind, that's just waiting around for the train to come. So somehow he, in that moment, has shown how people wish to reveal themselves, in this case through their article of luggage, a mirror, a cornet case, a hat box. And yet, at the same time, they are trying to conceal themselves from one another. I can say that the opera is about what happens when we observe the people around us and when we allow ourselves to be sensitive to their pain, their story, their dreams, how they view themselves, what they wish for us to see, and what they wish we would not see about them.
He says that Postcard is a way that he discovered his own voice. And I think that as a director working on Postcard from Morocco, you're going to learn something about yourself, whether you're a director or a designer or a singer. Okay, just something like that, just to help you put it somewhere else in your body because, yeah, okay.
I'm so used to seeing those those like stereotypical. Oh, it's right there. It's right here. It's a Monaco.
But see, you could even do that. I mean, it could come out your palms.
So this is okay. Right.
Yeah, but it's like no.
I'll do as little as possible. I'll do a little.
This is fine.
I'll do a little more out
What
there.
do you think? I try not to do this.
I'll do this as little as possible.
Okay.
All those people that well. I'll bet. Say.
I think Argento's music is definitely the language of emotion, and certainly the Diary of Virginia Woolf from the first note to the last. I don't think there's one note in there that isn't like laden with emotion. The music that is supporting the singer totally sets the scene, the place, the sounds. He gives this sense of place, and he has a wonderful sense of time. I love his silences. They're great. They're just really powerful. And it's just great supporting music for the voice.
When you see things like from the Diary of Virginia Woolf and Postcard from Morocco, you see his work, you see Argento's work as this man who spends a lot of time thinking about the human condition. And its lighter and its darker qualities, and always seems to approach it with a kind of a sense of humor. but he's not afraid to go down into the darkness. In 2002, I started working on a Waterbird talk. I finally got to perform it a couple of days ago for Dominick Argento, and of course the audience, but he happened to be there in the audience. It was unbelievably rewarding and somewhat intimidating at the same time. This music is genius. It moves me to tears. I have to suppress myself from just giving into that emotion.
Singing Casa Guidi for the first time with an orchestra, there is so much that I wanted the audience to come away with. True to what Dominick Argento had written on the page, because I think he understands Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I think he gets her character, he gets her emotions. She was not naive, she was not sentimental. That's what I wanted the audience to come away with, her and his understanding of her.
I think he sets the English language better than any composer I have ever sung. You don't have to wonder what it is that he wanted you to say. You know by just how he has set the rhythm and the notes and the pitches, the dynamics. You know exactly what he wants you to do, and it just speaks so beautifully to English. People say it's hard to sing in English, but with Argento, it's not. And one of the great things that Argento gave us was a set of Cabaret Songs, which he wrote and that I was fortunate enough to be able to premiere.
What I love about singers is that it's the one way you can combine words and music. For somebody who's interested in the dramatic effects, the emotional effect of music, it's easier to do that with singers, I think, much more direct than it is through a string quartet or a wind band or whatever. I love the voice.
Wilderness into a luxuriant, exquisite, varied garden.
Writing for Flicka, she is such a wonderful person and a great one to work with.
I first heard Dominick's music on a recording, and I just was overwhelmed with kind of feeling the whole aura of what his music does. It takes you to a different place immediately.
Having Frederica von Stade here was one of the highlights of our celebration. She is absolutely Dominick Argento's favorite singer, and she adores him. They've been very close for, as she said in her master class, about 40 years. He's written wonderful things for her, and you could see why. She's vivacious, she is excited, she hears a singer that's wonderful, and she's thrilled for that person. It's never about her, it's about the music and how she can help.
I think one of the things I love the most about his music is that there's a completion. He may start off in a certain way with a character, but he completes the character. He follows through on the journey.
I love the arch, the dramatic arch. I would say the arch of life, from birth, childhood, teenage, and then learning, that ultimately we're going to die, we're going to leave this, and we're going to become acquainted with all the sorrow.
I am so excited that the University of Maryland has chosen to honor Argento by doing his works. To have the experience of young people being able to meet the composer. We spend our lives singing music of composers that are long gone. To meet them and interact with them, and for Dominick to be able to hear his music.
May I make one more thing? Would a real cello rondo leading up to that cease? And don't break between what you're singing and cease. I don't remember how it's written, but really cut yourself off, if you understand what I mean, and get so fast it's almost out of control. Okay?
One of the fabulous aspects of this Dominick Argento celebration here at the University of Maryland is the inclusive quality of the festival. We've had alums come back to the school, faculty members, undergraduates, master's students, and doctoral students as well, rehearsing together, performing together. There's a really interesting give and take that goes on between the professionals, the emerging artists, the young undergraduates as well, and it's been a learning experience, I think, for everyone.
Well, to perform with Frederica von Stade was kind of a surreal experience. It was, I looked up to her when I first started singing and thought she was like the best singer and everything, and I never ever thought I would get the chance to perform with her, so.
Well, for me personally, to work with professionals and students at the same time is perfect, because you are then a professional in your own right, but also you are mentoring those that are coming up and observing your work. And I think it's the best way and the most profound way to study and to teach. And I think that the fact that we had students and professionals who are professors here involved in this whole affair speaks volumes as to the philosophy of our School of Music.
Gentle reader, too bad Malcolm didn't crawl under the pew.
Okay, good. So right there, that two is almost kind of like a laugh. So that's like the first time you actually start to get a little tipsy. Okay. So it's and probably you can't take too much time because there isn't a fermata there. Give it to me straight, gentle reader. Too bad, too bad.
Gentle reader, Miss Manners does. You want to make something of it?
Dominick Argento is probably one of the most gentlemanly gentlemen you'll ever meet. He's soft-spoken, and in my experience, incredibly kind and very generous. He's also very demanding and expects his music to be sung as he wrote it and played as he wrote it.
I had that rehearsal today, by the way, and the instrumentalists were playing it very nicely. And I said, no, think Schoenberg. So we got the proper dissonance out of the whole group.
When you first meet him, he's so dear and accessible that you think he can't be that brilliant.
But Puccini once said, God touched me on the shoulder, and he said, just make people laugh or cry. Don't worry about the rest, or sending messages, or being. And this is one of these pieces where I hope people will smile. That's all I want from them.
I mean, I think he's a genius. But when you're with him, he's just like a regular guy.
He said you are a fabulous composer.
Yes, yes, I am.
When we announced we were doing the Argento pieces, the first thing that was asked was, is he coming?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited. It's very, very rare that you get to do a piece for a living composer.
I'm excited. I'm excited to meet him. I'm just going to give him a hug if he's a hugger, because I'm from the South and we love to hug, and just say thank you for writing these operas and allowing me to be a part of them.
I always considered myself as an opera singer kind of a rugged individualist, so I think to meet someone like that who really just marches to the beat of his own drum, that really excites me more than anything. That, and he wrote this beautiful music.
Young singers are dying for new things. I think they are keen on doing new works, and the idea of having a composer around is wonderful.
When are you cutting us off? Can you show me that one more time for the last is that a present? Because I always come in a bit too early for that.
Oh, yes. So, is that a present?
Mr. Argento has been very gracious to talk about the School of Music and our opera program in particular, how impressed he is.
Opera workshops like the one we have here, and this is, let me tell you, one of the most impressive opera studios in the country. It right now probably is the world class in America. With the performances they have put on here of Miss Havisham, the Metropolitan Opera should not be ashamed to have a production that good. The orchestra, the conducting, the same is true for Postcard from Morocco. I have never, in my experience, had two performances in a studio like this that were so satisfying.
I think that having Dominick Argento here in residence as we perform the various genres of his music has been absolutely life-changing for our student body and for our faculty as well. We've had the most intense kind of residency with Mr. Argento, I think more than any other composer. We have explored every possible genre that Mr. Argento writes in, from symphony, choral, opera, song recitals, just everything. It's been a deep exploration, and I think we have all been changed. We all know more about Mr. Argento and his music, and I think we will all be performing more of his music because we've come that much closer and with a living composer and feel a connection, a deep connection with him.